Hello, this is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page. Thanks for checking in tonight. Tonight's movie is 1990s Streets. See if you can get a good, nice light on that. Yeah, there it is. Streets. 1990s Streets. This is a VHS copy. It was recently released, not recently, a couple years ago, released by Scream Factory, Shout Factory, I believe Shout Factory on a double with a movie called Angel in Red. But it was like a very kind of haphazard release where it was only out for a little bit and then like quickly started to go out of print. But it was a beautiful transfer for Streets, so still pick it up if you can just to get that transfer. And I believe there's a trailer on there as well. This is my VHS copy of Streets, which is it's pretty available. You're going to pay a little bit for it. And I do have an autograph on the front from somebody who did the music for the film, and I'm going to talk to you about her in a second. This is 1990s Streets. On the front, you probably noticed, yes, that is Christina Applegate. This was Christina Applegate's first film, and she was involved with Married with Children at the time, obviously. And I believe this was her first film. And this was directed by a woman, Cat Shea Rubin, who went on to direct, other movies such as Strip to Kill, which was recently, I believe, released on Blu-ray, but it did have a DVD release as well. Streets stars Christina Applegate, which is pretty wild. And you're also going to notice a couple other faces in this film as well. As I show you the back of this VHS tape, you'll see some of the, in particular, that guy right there, from some 80s films and things like that. This is Streets. This movie, sorry about that, I don't know what just happened with the camera. This movie was a film that I caught when I was a teenager on Prism. It seemed like it would be one of those movies that was on Prism repeatedly, like it would be on a lot. And it was a film that really affected me, and I loved it. But it really affected me. This is an R-rated, 1990 film that did not get a lot of play, but it is really a diamond in the rough, and that's why it's on this channel. It needs to be talked about much more. This is a film that blends a good group of genres together. We have the genre of kind of, exploitation, street prostitution drama, mixed with kind of serial killer film, mixed with romance, mixed with a drug film, and kind of a sad tale, a dramatic sad tale of a character. I almost, there are so many different elements to this film. You could see why maybe it didn't get hugely popular because of all the different elements in this film. This is a very dark film. It's a very depressing and sad film, but a very interesting film. And especially for Christina Applegate acting in this, my gosh, she did an amazing job. This is a film that is pretty heavy. This is a very, very heavy film. There are brutal, violent scenes in this film. There are disturbing sexual scenes in this film, and there is disturbing drug use in this film as well. It really puts you on the streets of LA. I think it's around the Venice Beach area, and it really puts you in kind of the street culture, way before the movie Kids did. It puts you on the street culture of the LA, prostitutes and drug dealers and all of that, and it really brought something that it kind of was almost like a documentary feel too, and it's sad and rough, man. There are some just really, all the characters are interesting in this film. You're gonna think I'm really psychotic here, but there's a guy in this movie who plays kind of one of the druggies in on the streets, who plays the butler in the movie Pretty Woman. Yeah, and he actually says, first floor, going up, or something like this. That's all he has in the whole film in Pretty Woman. That's all he says, and he basically, that's the that he's in this film. Like he almost looks like Paul Rubens a little bit, Pee Wee Herman, but he's awesome. Everybody does a great job acting in this film, and it was really filmed in these very slummy areas, graffiti-ridden, beautiful shots in this film of the early morning LA weather and the water and the beach, and just the shots underground and then going into the city and then going into an abandoned house. It really, really kind of went into a lot of different territory. Very shot extremely well. This is not shot like some dumpy, low budget exploitation film. Not at all. This film is shot very, very well. It's shot technically well, like you would see some really well done kind of, Hollywood dark, dark, dark drama type film. The music in this film, the autograph in the front is from E.G. Daily. You know her as Dottie in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and you also know her in Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects as one of the hookers, and many other things. But she actually has a singing career, and she sings some songs in this film that I don't believe have ever been released. I can't even find them on YouTube or anything. But she's released some CD albums and stuff, but these songs for this film have not been released, unfortunately. And it's really awesome, sad 90s type of music. It almost sounds like Christina Applegate's characters singing these songs. It's a really rough, a dark film, and there are some pieces in this film that really play out like a horror film, like a serial killer film, where the music, when I say the music, the score all of a sudden becomes really dark and twisted. Like I said, there are some very violent scenes in this film. There are some very sexual scenes in this film that are very disturbing, and there's also a sexual scene in this film that is filled with love and sadness in a way too. It's a kind of a rough scene. It almost reminds me of this particular scene reminds me of a location in The Crow, but. This was also infamous because Christina Applegate showed some side boob in this film as well. So this took on its own, type of, especially today, following for people to see this film. The man who plays kind of the serial killer in this film man, he's unbelievable. He's very disturbing, very dark, very twisted character, two-faced character. There's a lot of stuff going on in this film, and this is not just your run-of-the-mill prostitution film. With pimps and all this kind of stuff. No, I mean, this is really almost like the movie Kids, where you're looking at street teenagers, runaways, homeless teens, addicted to drugs, selling their bodies and getting murdered, and then a kid from the suburbs kind of entering into this world and falling in love. And this is a really heavy movie that's really well done. And like I said, there are some definite exploitation elements of this film that would make a lot of people who were just into dark drama get the heck away from it. So for those of you who like dark dramas mixed with, rough violence and crazy characters and all of the things I said previously, Streets would be for you. This is a really unknown film, unfortunately, but you have to also know that it was directed by a woman, and it was executive produced by Roger Corman. Now, this VHS release was put out by MGM, which is pretty wild to think. And there's Christina Applegate on the cover there, and there's the killer. She gets top billing as well too because of Married with Children, I believe. But Roger Corman executive produced this film, and I believe that's the reason why it was kind of put out by Shout Factory on DVD recently. But for some reason, just kind of a haphazard release where it's just in print for a little bit. I don't know, or maybe the rights went up. I don't know, but they've been releasing everything Roger Corman, and he executive produced it. So not your typical Roger Corman film whatsoever. Like I said, dead serious, dead dark, and very, very entertaining, and lots of interesting characters. If you want to see a diamond in the rough film, that'll take you to some wild, dark places. And you'll see Christina Applegate in a role that unfortunately nobody talks about today because she did an unbelievable job playing this junkie hooker. And it's kind of hard to watch at times. And the style of the filming of this movie mixed with the music and the editing is pretty awesome. There is some editing in the last frame of this movie that will leave you by yourself, processing everything that you watched and really feeling kind of pretty horrible. The way that it works, but it's an awesome movie. This is Streets, 1990, starring Christina Applegate and the guy in the elevator from Pretty Woman. No, and some music done by E.G. Daily. Definitely watch this movie if everything I said sounds good to you. The funny thing is that on the bottom of the VHS tape, it has a sticker that says suspense. Of course, it's upside down or backwards. Suspense. Maybe, but much more than that as well. Thank you for tuning in tonight to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page. Feel free to check out my own films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Check out all my other reviews in this page of movies that are not being talked about enough. I also have a Facebook page where I post posters of all these films and just rare actors and stuff. I have a ton of Jess Franco reviews, and there are many more Jess Franco reviews that are coming. And I hope you enjoy the page. Thanks for watching, and good night.